Hey, gang, it's summertime and the living is easy. Check out Pennsylvania's newest casino, Parks Casino in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. Great news if you're in Western Maryland. If you're in Northern Virginia, South Central Pennsylvania, I'm looking at you, Hagerstown, Maryland, Winchester, Virginia, Chambersburg, PA, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and many more. Now you can get lucky in no time at Pennsylvania's newest casino, the all-new Parks Casino in Shippensburg, less than an hour from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. What are you going to find inside? How about 500 state-of-the-art slot machines, 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, and more. You can bet sports on the kiosks located in the casino. Comedy every Friday night. Tomorrow night, go to Park Shippensburg. Live music Saturday night. Go there Saturday night. Enjoy the Liberty Bar and Grill and get in on all the action. The all-new Parks Casino in Shippensburg off Interstate 81. Visit parkscasino.com. Got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from the Thursday edition of the newsletter. Holy smokes, Thursday already. Right, big night tonight at the RNC when former President Donald Trump will make his acceptance speech. I will see you here, 8 p.m. Eastern Time tonight for a pre-convention mingle. The URL in today's newsletter. J.D. Vance last night officially became the Republican vice presidential candidate. And of course, we've got coverage of J.D. Vance and his speech in today's newsletter. I just don't think it's the big political news of the day. Vance was fine. He's good on his feet. As I said earlier, he's going to be a very formidable opponent when he debates Josh Shapiro in the vice presidential debate. No, the news is not on the Republican side of the ledger. The news is on the Democratic side of the ledger with all of the news that surrounds President Biden. And we have a slew of stories today in the newsletter at Smerconish.com, not the least of which is this story where he is saying, President Biden, that he's more receptive now to hearing pleas that he would step aside. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 person byline from the New York Times. President Biden has become more receptive in the latest several days to hearing arguments about why he should drop his re-election bid. Democrats briefed on his conversation set on Wednesday after his party's top leaders in Congress privately told him they were deeply concerned about his prospects. And why might he be receptive to hearing them out? Another story in the newsletter today. The Associated Press and NORC with brand new data, which tells the same story as all the other data. In this case, nearly 2/3 of Democrats say President Biden should withdraw from the presidential race and let his party nominate a different candidate. 2/3 of Democrats. Only 3 in 10 say they are extremely or very confident that he has the mental capability to serve. Yesterday, we talked about, different Times reporting which said that his circle has become much more narrow and he's relying on fewer and fewer people for advice. And I raised the question of, is all the information being shared with him? The Doug Sosnick-like analysis. Has somebody gone to him and said, Mr. President, in 2016 when it was Hillary, in 2020 when it was you running against Trump, here are the 7 states that mattered. And of the 7, 4 of those battleground states, the ones that are in the Sun Belt, North Carolina and Georgia and Nevada and Arizona, are now firmly in Trump's column. Which means, sir, that you need to win Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And, sir, that's why they selected J.D. Vance, because they think that if he appealed in Ohio, he can similarly appeal in Western Pennsylvania. You need, sir, an inside straight. You need to take all 3 of those, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And bad news, we're playing defense in states like Minnesota that ought to firmly be in our column, Virginia, New Hampshire. So it's ominous, and you have a very narrow path. Is anyone saying that to him? I question that. And now, as per that initial Times story about why is he reconsidering, here's another story. Chuck Schumer privately urged the president to step aside in the 2024 election. ABC has that. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer went to see Biden in Rehoboth on Saturday. They were able to like sneak him into town and out, right? Yeah. Despite all the media.
Who knew that?
Right.
Right.
On Saturday with the eyes of the world, right. On Rehoboth, hunkered down.
I was shocked by that. But then it all comes out.
The
question is what is more effective, coming out in public or talking to him in private and then letting that word come out in public?
Well, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries must all think private. And here's the next story. It's the CNN coverage on Pelosi. Put it up. Pelosi privately told Biden polls show he cannot win and will take down the House. He responded with defensiveness. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi privately told Biden in a recent conversation polling shows he cannot defeat Donald Trump. So they've all told him. They've all told him now that he needs to. And like this was the big story yesterday.
That was your tweet. I mean, that's the whole thing. You have been saying all along. And by the way, people have questioned you. You have been saying all along and you have not wavered. It is not when. It is not if, it is when.
Right.
It is not if, it is when.
2 weeks ago on CNN, that was my commentary.
I thought it would be sooner than this.
Me too. People were livid. Well, I'm getting this. I'm building.
I'm sorry.
I'm building.
I'm sorry.
I'm building
I get excited.
to something.
I get excited.
So before we knew about Schumer, Jeffries, and Pelosi, the big story yesterday, and it was the LA Times to whom he spoke, was Adam Schiff. Representative Adam Schiff has called on President Biden to step out of the White House race, becoming the most prominent Democrat in Congress to do so. Wednesday's statement from Schiff, the heavy favorite in his U.S. Senate bid. Right. Like, here's the other thing. Like, Schiff is going to win that seat in California. He's going to be the senator, one of the senators from the great state of California. So he brings that stature. Everybody knows him from the work on the 9/11 Commission. This was a big deal yesterday, just kind of eclipsed by the bigger names within the Democratic Party that made this pronouncement. His statement from Schiff, the heavy favorite in the Senate, brought a jolt to an effort that has grown quieter after the weekend assassination. At least publicly, it has grown quieter. Okay, so all of these individuals, and you have to believe that George Clooney would not have published in the New York Times without getting the tacit approval of Barack Obama. And we know that he and Obama spoke before Clooney published that. So, like, all of the leadership, I haven't heard anything about the Clintons, but all of the leadership from the Democratic Party has now conveyed to President Biden, you got to do this. And the part that I found sad watching all of this last night, next story, the president has tested positive for COVID. So, there was that image of him coming off the plane last night at Andrews where he didn't get to speak in Las Vegas. He's tested positive for COVID. He's been forced to self-isolate at this critical moment of the president, just when he's trying to show vim and vigor.
Right.
And coming down those stairs, just...
That was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch.
That was really hard to watch. It was halting. He stopped several times. It seemed he had trouble getting in the car. I don't know why he wasn't wearing a mask. I don't understand that. And maybe he didn't want to show, I don't know. That to me was just malpractice.
Right. Maybe he didn't want to show weakness,
then
appear feeble.
Then don't show himself walking down the stairs. Sorry. I'm really like, I have been so unbelievably supportive and patient. I've had it. I've just had it. Like, come on.
Really?
Yeah, I've had it. I'm now not just neutral. Right. I've had it.
It's selfish.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's selfish.
Let's go. Chop, chop.
Yeah. The data,
I've had it.
I'm Mr. President, I'm sorry, but the data doesn't show you're the one.
And you could have left so well. And it is too late for that. And you're just making it worse every single day.
And I have to believe the people around you are just doing a disservice to you by either you are as hard-headed as I am.
Well, there is that.
Okay, either you're as hard-headed as I am, or the people around you are just doing you wrong by not telling you this is the deal. And TC makes
By the way, 30 years from now, when someone's trying to take away your license, I don't want to be in that room. I do not want to be in that room.
Oh, I thought you meant like my license to do this.
Oh, I don't want to be a part of that either. But I don't want to be part of anything. Anything telling you what to do does not work.
Yeah. Well, I am going to tell. I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it one more time. I'm going to tell it right now. When my dad got the notice that he had to surrender his keys, It was very. I can laugh about this now, but it was very, very. It was very, very difficult for him. And like, here I am, his son, somewhat prominent, an attorney. I know a lot of people. And yet, when the news came, when that notification came from the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, telling him, like, no more driving.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? The state told him not to?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
How so?
He was reported by his physician.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's the way it worked.
But that's better than you having to tell him.
I had conversations with the physician.
Got it. Okay.
But the point of the story is that I'll never forget is that my dad's sort of eruptive, angry response was, "Get me Mike Baldini."
Hey, you know a fixer when you know a fixer. You know what I'm saying? Baldini can solve
anything. Well, in a good way.
That's what I mean.
In a good way, you mean that.
I absolutely
Someone
do.
connected. You know, if it weren't Baldini, it would have been veteran criminal defense attorney William J. Brennan.
Between the two of them,
yeah,
they can solve anything in the whole state of Pennsylvania.
I'm like, Dad, Baldini? What about me?
You're the one that caused it. You're the problem.
Allegedly.
That's the issue.
Allegedly. Yeah. Yeah. But this thing has movement. This thing has movement. This is going.
Something feels a little different as of yesterday.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So there's going to be a change. It is sad. TC's right. It didn't. As I said in my tweet, it didn't have to be like this. And the legacy would have been that he was the one who defeated Trump in the first go round. And what I fear for Biden's legacy now is that if he steps aside and Trump wins, which is likely. I mean, it's likely right now that Trump wins no matter who the candidate might be. But the data says some within the Democratic fold have a stronger chance than Biden or Harris. What is the likelihood? The likelihood at this juncture is that it becomes Harris. But whomever it is, if they lose, Joe's still going to get blamed.
It's the worst
for having waited.
It's the worst of all scenarios, because not only has he waited too long and it's going to be chaotic or, not a good path, as opposed to he could have stepped aside when have never run and really ushered in the
Kingmaker.
Correct. Kingmaker. But instead, not only is it that, but on the other side, there's this ascension, this rising, this unbelievable momentum from the R's.
Oh my God!
Like
Trump,
beyond.
Trump, as I said earlier, Trump has
went through them all.
Stepped in it. The guy is. I'm starting to believe in divine intervention.
Honestly,
I'm starting to believe in it.
Honestly,
how else to explain? This guy was supposed to be in the pokey by the time the Republican convention began, and he was destitute. And instead, on paper, he's worth $4 billion from Truth Social alone.
Jail, broke, or dead. And look, he avoided all three.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I would be, I mean, he looks to me, as I watched him for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like a guy who is just so contented. He's had a great meal. You know what I mean? Like when I see him,
sleeps so well.
And he's on a roll. Dan, you want to get in on this?
No. That's you just said it. He's on a roll. He is 100% on a roll, and I don't know if it's divine intervention or not, or just pure luck or strategy, but he's riding high, and I think the expectations are now for tonight even higher because of it.
There's a radio program that I listen to from time to time. It has also spawned some podcasts, and this guy whose name I can never remember loves saying, I get sick of hearing him say it. He loves saying it's so unpredictable that things occur in a race like this.
I've heard him. Does he say like a football?
Yeah,
like it bounces
like a football. In directions you can never
know.
imagine. Right. And that people whose names you've never heard of and events that you could never imagine are playing themselves out and will still play themselves out.
I know, I get it. So something else could happen, and I understand that. But at this point, I have maintained forever that Trump is going to win. Now I just think, come on.
I'll say one.
Can we just speed up to November because we're done here?
By how much?
Yeah, good point, Dan.
Can I say one other thing? Yesterday,
you can because it's your show.
Thanks. Theoretically, yesterday post show, one of the projects that I spent a lot of time on yesterday actually is the editorial cartoon book. Because it's now July 18, and I said I want to take orders by Labor Day.
Wait, I got a little glimpse.
Yes.
You sent me that. That was exciting.
Yeah, okay. Well, I showed you. I'm not prepared to discuss it
of
publicly,
course. No,
but
no.
I showed you
A little something.
The titles
Yes.
that I'm most thinking of.
Yes.
You may or may not have made the cut.
I may or may not have.
And also some of the art in terms of we're playing around. Right.
That was very exciting.
Yeah, I know.
Very.
But now I went back and I started to look. We have a problem, a good problem, in that we're going to have to make cuts from some cartoons to have it all in.
What?
Well, the campaign has been going on for like a year and a half. So
17 years.
But it caused me to go back and just look at the progression of the campaign through the editorial cartoons, which is exactly what the purpose is.
Can you imagine just flipping through there and being
It's going to be great.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
All right. More headlines from the Thursday edition of the Smerconish.com newsletter. See you tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, for a pre-convention mingle. All you've got to do is have the URL from today's newsletter. Click on it, see at 8. Get there on time because we're capped at 1,000. But if you're not in the first 1,000, there's a way you can still watch, and it's all in the newsletter. What else, TC?
Okay, so obviously there is a lot else going on. I wanted to talk about the poll questions of the day. Would you like to say the results from yesterday? Sure.
We had 30,523 votes cast. Will the assassination attempt have any impact on the race? 68.49% said yes, that is the correct answer.
Poll question of today, should Joe Biden quit the race now? Obviously, we've been talking about that, so go vote. Steve Breen's Thursday cartoon.
It's great, right?
So good.
Trump and Vance equals trance. And I love, Trump with the bandage.
I know.
Do you know that some people are wearing bandages on the floor of the convention?
I absolutely saw it.
In solidarity.
That's the thing.
Hey, just a curiosity, and I don't mean to be negative to the contrary. How's that affixed? I keep looking at that bandage. How is that affixed?
I think it's like propped on or self-taped on, or I don't know. Dan, do you know as an EMT how you stick that sucker
is that
on?
how you would bandage an ear?
Yeah, it's probably just taped on. I actually, to be told, haven't seen it up close, but it's probably you tape it on.
It doesn't
with
seem to be
invisible
taped
tape
like,
in the back.
squished like this. It seems to be sort of perched,
Right.
like a little hat.
Right. Yeah, it's
Your
sort of
hat.
perched, but yeah,
Could fall off though
yeah.
if it's perched.
I think it's there's
no,
tape
it's
on the
taped.
inside.
Has
That's
to be
my
taped
thought.
on the inside.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there are two headlines in Smerconish.com that have nothing to do with politics, but have everything to do with life, and perhaps they're related.
Okay.
One's on obituaries and one's on drinking.
I love this obituary story. The obituary story and the I think the headline that I wrote for Smerconish.com was "We can't let obituaries die."
I mean, perfect.
Right?
And the whole thing is actually my favorite line in that entire piece, and I believe it is the one that sums it up the best, is that, hang on, let me get to the exact quote. I'm scrolling because it's a long one. It is that you don't learn about how someone died by an obituary. You learn about how someone lived.
Yes.
And I love that.
And forever, you and I have been together for a long time. Yep. I've always talked about obituaries, read from obituaries. By the way, I want to give a hat tip to Stuart Wolf. He is a lawyer in Irvine, and he put that on my radar screen yesterday. Thank you, Stuart. Nice to see you recently. I love that story.
Yeah.
Love that story. Apparently, I'm not the only one who sees the value in obituaries.
And it's a neat story, too, because it goes through and pulls pieces from people's obituaries. And you would think it wouldn't be uplifting, but it is. And again, it's that quote that I said. I don't read the obits to find out how they died. I read the obits to find out how they lived.
This was such a well-done piece, and I want to make sure that Kristen Hare,
yes,
who wrote it,
Kristen,
is
you.
invited to be on the program.
Great, we'll do. And then finally, the Wall Street Journal piece, which concerned me greatly. How much alcohol can you drink a week and still be healthy? Spoiler alert, not much. That's my takeaway from this.
Okay, can you give more specifics than that? Because some of us are alarmed at hearing you say that.
I'm so alarmed at this. Yeah, here we go. Newer guidelines suggest, U.S. Federal Dietary Committee is currently evaluating alcohol consumption guidelines, which recommend currently that men consume no more than 2 drinks a day and for women no more than 1. A 2020 federal committee proposed lowering the recommendations for men in line with a women's guideline, but that wasn't ultimately adopted. Newer guidelines suggest being even more conservative than that. The scary part is that if you drink more than 7 drinks a week, your cancer risk goes up enormously. Like,
What kind of cancer?
All kinds of cancer. Throat, esophageal, breast, gut. Like, I mean, they will go through the whole
how many?
body.
7
a week.
a week.
I was very alarmed by that.
So let me just tell you this. I was at a beer...
Exponentially, they
I
say.
was at I went to a beer store. Was it yesterday? Wednesday? Tuesday. Tuesday, I was in a beer store. Big beer store.
Okay.
In the town where I was born and raised.
Okay.
And I was there to get... Well, frankly, I was there to get my mom some Heineken Zeros.
Love it.
Because I've turned her on to that, and she's really into the cans.
You're an influencer.
Yeah. No. Well, wait till you hear this.
Love flow.
So I'm in this beer emporium, and I walk in, and the cash register's there, nice guy, and I said, "Where's the non-alcoholic?" And he said, back there. And here, I'll show you. And he goes with me, and it was an enormous display.
Yeah.
And
Bigger
I said
and
to
bigger
him,
everywhere.
I said, "You're selling a lot of this." He said, "Through the roof. It used to be over there where there was a small shelf." And the point is that the non-alcoholic beer, the Heineken Zeros, the Athletics that you like
those.
People are turned on to them. And I think doing what we do, which is to say, I'll have, one real beer and one zero beer. Anyway, great headlines. Thank you, guys. That was terrific. Vote on the poll question. See you tonight, I hope, at 8 p.m. Eastern.